Yeah, what, last week? Somebody asked me that last week. I'm still like, bruh, where are y'all seeing this? Like, what makes him not the quarterback for the Chicago Bears right now?
We want Fields. Echoing down here at Soldier Field.
This is by far one of my favorite storylines of the offseason. It's a topic that we made videos on before. It's a topic that we probably will continue to make until we get a clear, definitive answer in terms of what the direction of the Chicago Bears is going to be. And it's not an easy solution at all whatsoever. A lot of it also has to come down to your own interpretation of the situation, your interpretation of Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. So before we get to the content, we have been on a roll, man. We've had double upload days multiple times over this past week. Make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow, because we're on the grind to 900,000 subscribers. If you want shorter versions of this content, check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and even Snapchat. And now that we get all of that out of the way, break. We made $1,100 off of a $20 entry on Prize Picks. And it wasn't just me, it was everyone that followed these picks on my Instagram story. And the best feeling is the amount of people that made money as a result of this. I mean, bam, bam, bam. Bam! My DMs were flooded, so the best part for me was seeing you guys make money as well. But we're not done yet. If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks, use my promo code Mikerophone to double your deposit up until $100 on Prize Picks. And I give away my picks on a daily basis for free on my Instagram story and now my Snapchat story. We're having so much fun doing this. I'm so happy that I made you guys some money. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Historically, the Chicago Bears have been known for their incredible defenses and their subpar quarterback play. For example, the last time the Chicago Bears made it into the Super Bowl to face off against the Indianapolis Colts, they had Rex Grossman under center. The 1985 Chicago Bears had Jim McMahon under center, and that's not to say that he was a bad quarterback, but to give you an idea, Jim McMahon only made one Pro Bowl throughout his entire career, even though he was a two-time Super Bowl champion and a top 5 pick. And since then, there's been a drastic fall off at the QB position, alongside with the Chicago Bears showing truly how desperate they were to find the answer under center and coming oh so close in particular moments. One of my favorite videos that we made on this channel is what if the Chicago Bears drafted Patrick Mahomes. I think I made it about 3 years ago, and we'll leave that in the end screen for you guys to enjoy. And during the 2017 NFL draft, Chicago Bears whiffed in the worst possible way on a potential franchise QB. They had the number 3 overall pick in the 2017 NFL draft. They traded up one spot with the San Francisco 49ers, giving up 2 third-round picks and a 4th-round pick to do so. And then they selected Mitchell Trubisky, an individual whose draft stock was pumped up artificially by Mel Kiper, which more on him a little later. Unfortunate part about that is Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson would go 8 and 10 picks later, respectively. And before you knew it, the Chicago Bears struck again in another NFL draft that was known for their incredible quarterback talent, the historic 2021 NFL draft. A draft class that featured the likes of Trevor Lawrence, or the greatest NFL prospect since Andrew Luck, Zach Wilson, which was everyone's favorite boomer bust prospect of the NFL draft, who was also being compared to Patrick Mahomes, primarily because of this throw he made during his pro day, the biggest mystery of the NFL draft, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, who, in my opinion, should have went number 2 overall, and Mac Jones, the safest pick in the NFL draft. I know looking back at it, it's very laughable to hype up this draft class, but you have to understand, the summer of 2021, we were all talking about how exciting this quarterback class could be. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers traded up to the number 3 overall pick just so they can make sure they got their prospect of choice and that they wouldn't miss on this draft pick. I know. Kind of crazy if you think about it. And in the case of the Chicago Bears, they didn't need to be overly aggressive. They watched 3 quarterbacks go in the top 3 of the NFL draft, and when Devontae Smith came off of the board with the 10th overall pick, the New York Giants saw no reason to be sitting there at number 11 anymore. So the Chicago Bears traded up and selected a quarterback that shouldn't have been there, in my opinion, Justin Fields. Now, the only thing Justin Fields had going against him was he was from Ohio State University, and historically, Ohio State University University QB stink. But if you threw that bias aside, Justin Fields had a lot of tools that would have made him good enough to be the #1 overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft, in my opinion. He had great size, plenty of zip on the ball, made great reads, didn't mind taking a big hit in order to make a pass, kept defenses honest with his legs, and actually was very accurate whenever he did play action boots to the right. But at the same time, he was pretty questionable against the blitz and panicked very soon and depended on his legs a little bit too much. He wasn't the most accurate on deep throws, and he needed to do a better job with manipulating defenders with his eyes. His release could have been a little bit better as well, but this wasn't anything that should deter you from drafting Justin Fields. So the Chicago Bears selected Justin Fields with the 11th pick in the 2021 NFL draft. And during his first season with Matt Nagy, he would go 2-8 with a 58.9% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He would also get sacked 36 times that season. Things wouldn't look that much better in 2022 after getting Matt Eberflus. Under center, he completed 60.4% of his passes for 2,242 passing yards and 17 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. The real kicker is what he was able to do with his legs. Justin Fields had over 1,100 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, and 55 sacks. He also led the NFL in fumbles, but thankfully he only lost 2 of those fumbles. The Chicago Bears really believed in Justin Fields' potential, so much so that when they got the #1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft, they decided to trade it away. And what is quickly becoming the biggest heist in NFL history, the Chicago Bears essentially traded the #1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft for DJ Moore, the #9 pick in said draft, second round pick, and the #1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, in addition to a second round pick in 2025. And for the most part, Justin Fields actually improved. The beginning of the season was a little bumpy to say the least, but Justin Fields ended up with 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, with 4 additional TDs on the ground, 657 rushing yards as well, and he only fumbled the ball 10 times this time. The Chicago Bears improved to 5-8, but it didn't matter. They have the #1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft. Unfortunately for them, this year's NFL draft isn't like last year's NFL draft. You see, last year you had a Heisman Trophy winner in Bryce Young, or you had CJ Stroud, who
might be terrible because he's from Ohio State University and had an all-world wide receiver core, and he scored very low on the Wonderlic IQ test.
To be fair, those were some reasonable concerns on CJ Stroud, but ultimately they didn't end up mattering. This year, however, it's a little bit different. The Chicago Bears have the #1 and #9 overall pick in this year's NFL draft. And the #1 prospect in this year's NFL draft is none other than Caleb Williams, a player that is being called the next coming of Patrick Mahomes, which sets the stage for the Chicago Bears' biggest decision to date. Do you select Caleb Williams with the #1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, or do you move forward with Justin Fields? It's really difficult to make this decision, and it's very difficult to make it from now, because a lot of it depends on how you feel about Caleb Williams as a prospect. At this point, we've gotten a thorough evaluation of Justin Fields, and we understand the type of player he is, and he's not a bad player at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he's won over the locker room. Look at what DJ Moore had to say about Justin Fields when this conflict became more prominent.
Yeah, last week, somebody asked me that last week. I'm still like, bruh, where are y'all seeing this? Like, what makes him not the quarterback for the Chicago Bears right now? I get y'all got everybody coming out. It's like 2 of them. I don't think they better than Justin, so they cool.
But that wouldn't be the only problem. You would see the fans of the Chicago Bears chanting, "We want Justin Fields," towards the end of the season.
We want Fields. Echoing down here at Soldier Field.
Now, in addition to this, Justin Fields seems to be very realistic about where his future is and what it could be. So at the end of the season, he had this to say to the Chicago Bears.
You know what I did do, and I gave it my all. So whether it's here or not, I have no regrets. Shout out to you guys for making my job a little bit harder. But just to the city of Chicago, love y'all. Appreciate the fans and the support from all the Bears. In case this is my last rodeo with y'all, and just appreciate y'all for everything. So. Thanks.
So it's a very emotional situation for Justin Fields. And when Ryan Poles was asked about the number 1 overall pick, all he had to say about the situation was this.
Again, I'm wide open to anything. So if someone wants to call me with an idea, that's fine. I'm open to it.
It's a great situation to be in, but it's without a doubt a situation that if Ryan Poles messes up, his career could be over for the Chicago Bears. So far, I have to give him credit. He's done a remarkable job in terms of asset allocation. I mean, anytime you trade the number 1 overall pick from the previous draft for the number 1 overall pick in a draft that has a much more prominent top pick, you automatically win. When you do that while also getting a wide receiver 1 for your potential QB, then clearly you're doing something right. Now, a lot of the decision in regards to what the Chicago Bears should do in this situation has to do with how you view Caleb Williams as a prospect. And there are individuals that believe Caleb Williams is without a doubt the greatest number 1 overall pick to enter the NFL draft since Andrew Luck. They're saying he was better than Bryce Young, better than Trevor Lawrence, better than Joe Burrow, and probably the last prospect that even comes close to being what Caleb Williams could be is Andrew Luck. Now, do I personally believe that myself? I'm not necessarily sure. I think like any prospects, I have my concerns with Caleb Williams. I think he's incredibly talented, very versatile. His improvisational ability when he's on the football field is very impressive. His arm strength is very impressive. I don't like the fact that he paints his fingernails, and I'm not necessarily sure if he's mentally tough enough to be the face of a franchise. But that's my own opinion. But does that mean I would not select him if I was the Chicago Bears with the number 1 overall pick? Not necessarily. You see, this extends further than just who's better, Justin Fields or Caleb Williams, because at the same time, you have to understand Justin Fields is about to be up for a contract extension. You see, Justin Fields' contract expires after the 2024 season, then he's going to have a 5th-year option. Following that, he's going to be expecting a big contract extension. The question is, how much do you pay Justin Fields? How much is Justin Fields expecting? Is he expecting to be paid like a top 5 QB in the NFL? Are you going to be paying Justin Fields around $47 million a year? Or are you going to be giving him a Daniel Jones-like contract? How much is Justin Fields worth? At the same time, you have to understand, when you pay Justin Fields and he's no longer on a rookie scale contract, that means the rest of your team is going to get a lot weaker. You need to make sacrifices in order to pay Justin Fields that type of money. And then we have to ask the question, how much is Justin Fields worth? This goes further than is Justin Fields better than Caleb Williams. A lot of this has to do with whether Justin Fields is better than Caleb Williams, of course, but at the same time, if you draft Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick, you get a fresh 5 years with a brand new quarterback on a rookie scale contract that could potentially be better than Justin Fields. And if you do that, you could also trade Justin Fields. Now, Mel Kiper said something that is so asinine and so bizarre that I have no idea how he still has a job for ESPN. Because according to Mel Kiper, he believes that Justin Fields could be traded for the 8th overall pick.
You have no second-round pick, so some maneuvering could take place there. And if you trade Justin Fields to Atlanta, you could get the 8th pick overall field and be able to recoup a second-round pick by trading down with one of those two. A lot of maneuverability for the Bears either way, Field, but if it's me, I'm taking Caleb Williams number 1 and trading Justin Fields.
Guys, let me tell you straight up right now, if Justin Fields could be traded for the 8th overall pick, this problem is solved. You do not need to worry about whether or not Caleb Williams or Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears next year. It's going to be Caleb Williams. There is no way, shape, or form that any team would give up the 8th overall pick for Justin Fields. That's not a knock against Justin Fields. It's just giving up a first-round pick while also needing to sign Justin Fields to a contract extension in 2 years is just not how it works in the NFL. I think a more realistic expectation is what Jeremy Fowler said, which is the Chicago Bears can get a 2nd or 3rd round pick in a Justin Fields trade. But at the same time, Ryan Poles could do the exact same thing he did last year, which is trading the number 1 overall pick to a team that would give up a farm so they could get Caleb Williams. And to be honest, that's not a bad decision either. By doing this, you could build the rest of your team while also seeing what you have in Justin Fields. You could really see this situation through. And if Justin Fields isn't the answer under center in a year or two, then you could just draft another quarterback in the NFL draft in the future. You do have the draft capital to make it happen. You could build up other parts of your team. You could trade back and you could draft offensive line and an additional wide receiver in this year's year's NFL draft. Wide receivers like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors are available in this year's NFL draft at the wide receiver position. So you could stick with Fields, get like 3 first-round picks for him, and also build up the other aspects of your team. But unfortunately, it seems like the Chicago Bears are already trending in a particular direction. You see, the Chicago Bears interviewed Greg Roman for their offensive coordinator job. And in my opinion, if the Chicago Bears hire Greg Roman, it means that the decision that they're making is obvious. They're sticking with Justin Fields. The Bears interviewed Greg Roman for their offensive coordinator opening, but they also interviewed Shane Waldron, Clint Kubiak, Greg Olson, and Liam Cohen. But the most interesting individual that they recently decided to interview would also give them an indication that they're going to move forward with Caleb Williams. Cliff Kingsbury did something genius the moment the Arizona Cardinals fired him, and no, it wasn't taking a trip to Thailand. He decided to join USC as the senior offensive analyst so he could coach Caleb Williams. That way, whenever Caleb Williams gets drafted #1 overall, he could find a route back into the NFL just based off of his relationship with Caleb Williams. And the Chicago Bears just interviewed Cliff Kingsbury for the vacant offensive coordinator job, which means if Cliff Kingsbury gets the offensive coordinator job with the Chicago Bears, we will know what their decision is. At the end of the day, what do I think the decision should be? I don't necessarily think you could go wrong here in the present. You're not going to make a decision that is going to make your fan base think, what the hell is this guy doing? You trade the #1 overall pick for 3 first-round picks, and you're going to be fine either way. If Justin Fields flops, well, you're going to be in the market for another quarterback in 2 years, and then your team is going to be significantly more built, and you'll have a fresh 5 years with said rookie quarterback in about a year or two. If you draft Caleb Williams, that clock starts now. It depends how much the Chicago Bears truly believe that they're ready to contend, and it really depends on how they feel about Caleb Williams. We're already seeing some footage of Caleb Williams preparing for the NFL draft. If it was me in Ryan Poles' situation, I would probably trade the #1 overall pick and sell on the hype that Caleb Williams is garnering. Because at the end of the day, it seems like we have a brand new once-in-a-generation type quarterback every 2 to 3 years. You can make the most out of Justin Fields' rookie scale contract, and if he isn't the answer under center, you can move on from him. And you'll still have a plethora of assets either way. So let me know in the comment section down below, what would you do if you're the Chicago Bears? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.